And welcome to the regular meeting of the Cedar Falls City Council this August 19, 2019. I'll now call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call from Madam Clerk, please.
Miller.
Here.
DeBoer.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Blanford.
Here.
Dara.
Here.
Wieland.
Here.
Green.
Here.
All members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to item 1, is there a motion to approve the regular meeting of August 5th?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Before we move on to other city business, I wanted to take a moment and reflect on the city's loss of a wonderful advocate, volunteer, and city leader, Barbara Brown. Barbara was always doing everything and doing something, and typically involved making the city and other people better. She was on the city council in the late 90s, Community Main Street, Planning and Zoning, along with another 13 groups, commissions, and committees throughout the community. Just an overall great asset to the city. On a personal note, I'm very fond of her contacting me almost weekly to keep me up to date on what she was up to. And she liked to tease me about my name. We shared a last name, of course, even to the extent she started calling me Jimmers the last couple of months. So imagine her surprise when she ran across this place in New York on her last trip just a couple of weeks ago. She just had to send that to me right away via email. I know many of us will miss her very much. And so prayers and thoughts go out to her family as well, and of course the community that has known her for so long.
Mayor, I guess I'd like to say a couple words about Barb as well. She's an example of, I think, what all of us up here do. We're trying to give back to the city we love, and Barb did that in spades. Like the mayor said, she's on scores of committees. It was ironic that the Public Art Committee presented tonight, and that was her latest love. So the city is better for her having been here, and she'll be missed by all of us.
Thank you, Councilman. Sure, Mr. Whelan.
Just a quick comment on, I've worked with her for, thank you. I forget to turn on my microphone, so everybody around me does it for me. Barb, I've known her since I've been on council, and I've been on almost 16 years. So I've seen her work for the city. I've seen her work for countless different projects. She's very outspoken, but she gets her point across and she does it well. It's been a real joy working with her, and most recently, I was working with her on a memorial for John Cruz, and she will be missed on that task that was so important to her to follow through on. So we'll miss you and appreciate the work you've done, Barb.
Very good. Next, I'd like to turn things over to Director Olson for the administration of oath to some officers here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, tonight we have the pleasure of swearing in 2 public safety officers and 4 reserve officers. So I'll just give you a quick bio on each one of those. The 2 public safety officers started 1 week ago today. Josh Getz was raised in Illinois, graduated from Notre Dame High School in Peoria, Illinois. He's currently attending UNI with a criminology major and a minor in psychology. He's a UNI track athlete, and he's been an employee actually with the Public Safety Department for the last 7 months as a part-time community service officer. Morgan Hoft was raised in Iowa City, graduated from Iowa City West High School. She is also currently attending UNI with a criminology and sociology major. She's only 12 hours from her bachelor's. She's also been working for the Public Safety Department as a CSO for the past 3 months. Corey Hines was born and raised in Cedar Falls. He attended Cedar Falls High School and later attended UNI and graduated from UNI. He currently works for the city as a GIS analyst, so he's another one of our cross-trained city employees. Adam Sprague graduated from Cedar Falls High School in '99. After high school, he attended Hawkeye Community College, where he obtained an associate's degree in police science. He's been the jail administrator in Bremer County for the last 8 years. Mark Kelly was born and raised in Cedar Falls. He graduated from Cedar Falls High School in 2004 and currently works at Rasmussen Towing full-time. He's had a lot of contact with police and fire as he does a lot of towing for us. Adam Aries is a resident of Cedar Falls and works full-time at Sherman Auto Repair in Cedar Falls. He served in the National Guard and was deployed to Iraq twice in 2003 and 2008.
Thanks, Director. If you folks would come up to receive the oath. If you'd all raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Iowa, the charter laws, and the ordinances of the city of Cedar Falls, the rules and regulations of the Cedar Falls Police Department, the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of my position as Public Safety Officer or Reserve Officer to the best of my ability. Congratulations. I believe now we have some folks to do the pinning of the badges. Do we arrange that, Director?
Congratulations. Welcome. Congratulations. 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 Welcome. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome.
Good recovery, right?
Congratulations again.
Yeah. She's the great aunt of the little guys. Wow.
Chief Bostwick, would you, as you circle back around the door, thanks.
It's a rowdy bunch back there.
Believe we can move on now. Next item on the agenda, is there any agenda revisions, Madam Clerk?
I have no agenda revisions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next is special order of business. Item 2 is a public hearing, the proposed plans for the 2019 Peter Melindy Park renovation project. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any written communications filed with the city clerk?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Before we go to oral comments, I believe Matt Tolan's here to talk about this public hearing.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This project involves the renovation of Peter Melindy Park. This park's located at the northeast corner of First and Main. Denny just put up the overhead imagery of this park, of what's proposed. During the levee construction project, we had a pretty significant impact to this park. We had to go all the way down to the base of the footing of the levee, rebuild all that, and we ended up destroying a little bit more of the park than we had originally hoped So this park is looking at restoring the park and rebuilding it to a new design. This project will involve new concrete pavers, new clay pavers, concrete sidewalk that we hope to get in this fall, and then we'll follow up with some plantings, including some trees in the springtime, weather depending. The total cost of this project was $264,000, and it'll be utilized out of the TIF funding.
Thank you, Matt. I will now open it up to public comment. Yes, Rosemary.
Rosemary Beach, 5018 Sage Road. Question about Peter Melindy Park and the whole wall in general. Is it going to stay that color?
Matt, do you know the answer to that?
Yes, the wall will stay the hint of gray color.
Could I remark that it'd be nice if it was a different color? That it was a little calmer than, it's so stark white, let's put it that way, that it might be more friendly and usable in the greenery if we might tone it down a little bit. Or some murals on it, or something. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Anyone further for public comment? Hearing and seeing none, I'll declare the hearing closed. Item 3 is resolution approving and adopting the plans for the 2019 Peter Melindy Park renovation project. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council?
Mayor,
Oh, yes.
I just had a question. Seemed in a past discussion, the pavers are going to be consistent with the ones on Main Street, or is there going to be some sort of connectivity there? Do we know?
That's correct. The design is to mimic what the parquet design is.
And then the statue that's been there, will that be?
They're working to get that reinstalled here in the next couple weeks, I
Okay.
believe.
Just curious, thanks.
Anything further from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 4 is a resolution correcting a Scrivener's error and amending Resolution 21590 relative to voluntary annexation of certain real estate. Is there a motion, please?
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 5 is a public hearing on applications for voluntary annexation of certain real estate to the city of Cedar Falls. Is there a motion to approve, receive and file the proof of publication notice of hearing?
So move.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any written communications filed with the city clerk?
Mayor, I did receive one written communication today, which has been placed before council and in the book.
Thank you very much. Before again the oral comments, I believe Shane Graham is here to speak on this public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, before council is a public hearing on annexation requests for territory from Blackhawk County into the city of Cedar Falls. There's 8 total property owners that are part of this annexation. One of them being the city of Cedar Falls. If council might remember, this includes the 200 acres that the city purchased just several months ago for the expansion of our industrial park. The other 7 property owners are residences that are found along Viking Road, and then there's one at the corner of Union Road and Viking Road. So you can see up on the map here, you can kind of see what the annexation territory looks like. That's the yellow color. The city limits is that white shaded area to the right. So if council remembers, back in June, council set the date of hearing, which put into process steps that staff had to take in order to get to where we are tonight. One includes having a consultation with the Blackhawk County supervisors and the township trustees, and then also sending out notices to surrounding property owners, to all utility companies, garbage services, any utility that might serve the area. We had to supply them with notices. We've complied with all of those regulations. And so tonight, what's before council is to approve the annexation. This will be a 100% voluntary annexation, so all property owners that are part of this have signed the application. If this makes it through council tonight, this will then get forwarded to the state. There's a city development board who would then review it in the next coming months. And then if that gets approved, then that area would get annexed into the city limits.
Thank you, Shane. I'll now open this public hearing to public comment. Hearing and seeing none, I declare the hearing closed. Item 6 is a resolution approving the voluntary annexation of property to the city of Cedar Falls. Is there a motion, please?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 7 is a public hearing on a proposed agreement for private development and conveyance of certain city-owned real estate. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Any written communications filed with the city clerk?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Once again, before public comments, I think, Shane, you're up for this one, too.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight before council's public hearing on agreement for private development with Strickler Properties LC. They also do business as L&N Transportation Services, Inc. They're looking at a lot out in the industrial park in between TED Electric and ACOH LLC, about a 1.25 acre lot for a new industrial office facility. This business is actually located downtown right now at 209 Main Street. And they've been downtown at that location for approximately 25 years. However, they don't really need to be downtown. They do trucking services. And so the developer, the owner, has been working with staff over the past several months, would like to be in the industrial park where they do most of their business with a lot of the trucking companies. And then it also would get them out of downtown, which we think is a good thing, which could open up another storefront for a downtown-based business. So what this entails is just the transfer of the land to the owner or to the developer, and there would be no other tax incentives as part of this agreement.
Thank you, Shane. Nice job. Anyone further for public comment on this public hearing? Hearing and seeing none, I'll declare the hearing closed. Item 8 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of an agreement for private development and a minimum assessment agreement, and approving and authorizing execution of a quick claim deed conveying title to certain real estate. Is there a motion, please?
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Old business is next. Item 9 is Pass Ordinance 2950, granting a partial property tax exemption for construction of an industrial use manufacturing and office facility on Development Drive. Upon its second consideration, is there a motion, please? Motion second. Any further discussion? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 10 is to pass ordinance 2952, granting a partial property tax exemption for construction of an industrial use lab and office facility on Venture Way. Upon its second consideration, is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 11 is a pass ordinance 2953, amending various other ordinances and providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the amended renewal area be paid in connection with the amendment number 5 to the Cedar Falls Unified Highway 58 Corridor Urban Renewal Area. Upon its second consideration, is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next up is the new business, the consent calendar. These items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or the public requests an item to be pulled for such discussion. Any such requests from council? From the public? I'll now summarize the consent calendar. Item 12 is approve the recommendation of the mayor relative to the appointment of Charles Blair Broker to the Library Board of Trustees. Once again, thanks for Charles for stepping up and serving the community. We appreciate that. Item 13 is receive and file the committee of the whole minutes of August 5th. 14 is receive and file communication from the Civil Service Commission relative to a certified list for the position of Planner 1. 15 and 16 is approving applications for permits and licenses. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next item is a resolution calendar. These items will be acted upon by a roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or the public requests an item to be pulled for such discussion. Any requests from council? Item 20,
35 and 36.
35, and 36. I am pulling item 18. Anyone further from council? From the public? Hearing and seeing none, I'll summarize the resolution calendars minus those items pulled. Item 17 is approving and adopting revised job classifications for the positions within the city. Item 19 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding with the City of Waterloo and Black Hawk County relative to the funding for the Tri-County Drug Task Force. 21 is approving and authorizing the expenditure of funds for the purchase of a tractor. 22 is approving and accepting 5 owner's temporary grading easements in conjunction with the 12th Street Ditch Grading Project. 23 is receiving and filing and approving and accepting the bid for the 2019 Sidewalk Assessment Project. 24 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a third amendment to maintenance and repair agreement and permanent easement relative to a post-construction stormwater management plan for Prairie Winds 4th edition. 25 is approving and authorizing execution of a stormwater maintenance and repair agreement relative to a post-water construction stormwater management plan on Lincoln Street. Item 26 is approving and authorizing execution of a stormwater maintenance and repair agreement relative to a post-construction stormwater management plan on Capitol Way. 27 is approving and authorizing execution of a contract for completion of improvements relative to the final plat of Prairie Winds 4th. 28 is approving and accepting the contract and bond for the 2019 bridge maintenance project. 29 is approving and authorizing execution of supplemental agreement to the professional services agreement for the construction, observation, and testing services relative to Prairie Winds 4th. Item 30 is approving and authorizing execution of supplemental agreement to the professional services agreement for construction, observing, and testing services relative to the Sands addition. Item 31 is approving the closure of the Housing Choice Voucher Program waiting list as recommended by the Housing Commission. 32 is approving an overlay zoning district site plan for facade improvements at East 2nd Street. 33 is approving a College Hill neighbor overlay zoning district site plan for construction of a single-unit residential dwelling on College Street. And 37 is approving and authorizing execution of an assignment and assumption agreement. All those in favor approving the resolution calendar minus those items, please make a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to item 18, it does read a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a parking lot lease agreement with Viking Pump relative to use of parking lot located in the vicinity of East 4th Street and State Street for public parking. Is there a motion, please?
Second.
Been motion second. Any discussion from council?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
One
Wheeler.
quick comment. I'm glad to see that we're working with the businesses in town because it's the most effective and efficient way to gain parking that we urgently need downtown. So, good move.
Excellent. I believe Carol Lilly is here also from the Community Main Street.
Carol Lilly, Community Main Street. I would just like to thank the City Council and Mayor for your continued effort to react to the parking study and to meet the needs of the public and the expectation of the public. So thank you very much for all of you are doing. I know the Public Task Committee that has been meeting is doing a really good job, and I think Tara is going to give a full update in the future on that, but just wanted to thank you for all that you've done so far. So thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone further on this item? Public comment? Anything further from council? It's been motion second. Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 20 reads a resolution approving and authorizing execution of an ash tree removal services informal project contract. Is there a motion, please?
Second.
Motion second. Open up to discussion for council.
Yes. Mayor.
Sure.
Typically, removal of a tree in our town goes for $1,200 to $3,500. Here we have 17 trees that's going for $65,000, which is $3,500 about per tree, which is top end of the market. Could staff please review the reason for accepting this offer?
Staff, we have an update for that. Chase?
Sure. So this contract does consist of 17 trees of removal within the city right-of-way. These trees are varying size, but they are significantly large. They're 3 to 4 feet in diameter and 90-plus feet high. They require specialized equipment to be able to safely remove these without damage to public or private property. Quotes were sent out to, I believe, 7 local contractors, tree contractors. We received 1 responsible bid.
Thank you. So you have a crane or something to remove branches?
Correct. Most of the branches will have to be lowered to the ground
Okay.
utilizing a crane, yes.
Thank you for your explanation. It makes sense for me now.
Anything further from council? From the public? Hearing and seeing none, there's been motion and second. Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 5 reads a resolution approving the final plat of Prairie Winds 4th Edition. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Motion and second. Open up for discussion with council. Mr. Burr?
Yeah, I had been contacted by some residents on Donald Drive that just wanted to verify that their utility easement, they're on the east end of Donald, that the utility easement on the south side of their property would be protected. And as I understand, that is protected, and that this plat also has an additional 10-foot easement. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Burr.
Okay, and each of the property owners maintains that property,
Yeah,
the utility easement.
absolutely. The property owners are responsible for any maintenance in that utility easement.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure the public knew that it was preserved.
Yes.
Anything further from council? From the public? Been motion and second. Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 36 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of an STBG programming agreement with Blackhawk County Metropolitan Planning Organization relative to the Main Street reconstruction project. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Open up for discussion or questions from council.
My question on that one was, if we apply for this grant, does it tie our hands or require any type of particular plan on what road we decide to construct?
It's related to Main Street, but it does not drive what the design of Main Street needs to be. Does that answer your question?
Correct. Because I know we haven't had public input yet to know how we want to do it. And
Correct. We came out of the traffic study with a variety of alternatives we could do, and ended on that we needed to get some survey done and a little bit of preliminary design, and then we'd be back in front of council to discuss that.
And was the dollar amount that was on this then what we thought would be the highest amount it could cost us?
It is.
Thank you.
Anything further from council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Cruz.
In reading in the packet there, page 347, there's a letter from InterCog, and it's commenting, in order to receive the funds, the city must work with the IODOT. How much are we at the mercy of their choice or their choosing of how we design this? And it also goes on, it says funds, let's see, funds have to be authorized by the Federal Highway Administration. Does the Iowa DOT listen to what the citizens may want, and how much so?
So the answer to that is yes. Really what these are federal funds that are administered by the local agency of InterCog. And so we've had a number of projects throughout the community that have had the same type of funding. This is funding that's used typically in the Cedar Valley here. And we've used this on other type of designs. What we'll do is the same process that we've always done is start to work through having open houses, those type of things, which will drive the design, and ultimately it will be the city council's decision what that design is. But whether it's roundabouts or traditional intersections or any of those type of things, the things that will have to be met are the standard specifications that are required by the Federal Highway Administration and the Department of Transportation.
So the standards and specs is one thing, but the choice of whether we narrow or keep 4 lanes, that's still our choice.
That is still at the discretion of, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further from council? From the public? Has been motion second. Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 38, is there a motion to allow bills and payroll?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further things from council? Requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next item is city council referrals. Does council have any items for referral this evening? Hearing and seeing none, the city council updates. I would ask council's blessing to once again hear some updates from staff, other updates obviously for yourself as well, but I will start, if it's okay, with an announcement that the next meeting that we have for city council will be on September 3rd, which is a Tuesday, because Labor Day is September 2nd. So just for those that are waiting for the next council meeting. Also, I wanted to have a couple of different announcements of some retirements. Very soon we'll have Craig Witry, one of our lead city officials for constructions. Most notably, he was assigned for the new public safety building. Craig is retiring after starting the city in 1995. We'll certainly miss his passion, his demeanor, and dedication to Cedar Falls, and we all very much appreciate him bringing the public safety building not only on time, but under budget. From there, we like to tease folks once in a while when they work with the city for 38 years. From the fire department, Captain Mike Burrows is retiring as a Cedar Falls firefighter captain. We will also wish him the best in his retirement, thank him for his knowledge, dedication, and expertise coming here very quickly for his retirement. So thanks to those individuals. Also, we have an update, I believe, from Director Olson on last Friday's event in Des Moines.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had 5 public safety officers graduate from the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy. These individuals were hired probably 6 months or so ago, and they first attended a firefighter class or academy that we put on here at Cedar Falls, and they all graduated from that and were certified as firefighter 1 certified by the state. And then they went to the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy, and they all graduated on Friday. And those individuals were Tyler Putney, Tyler Lennox, Marissa Abbott, Caleb Brugman, and Tom Baltus. But what I am proud to announce here is that Tom Baltus received the top academic award for achieving the highest grades of the individuals in that class. And Marissa Abbott was elected as the class president and served as the class president throughout the 16-week academy. So it's a great honor to have them to serve in, one serve in that capacity and one receive that award at the end of that academy time.
Thank you, Director. It was a great event. Next, Director Gaines has an update for us as well, please.
I believe you were asking about the climate action plan and where we're going with that. We have a small group that's met so far to date one time. We actually have another meeting this week. There's a group of us from the city staff, Cedar Falls Utilities, a member from the public, and also Eric Giddens from UNI. We're trying to gather enough information to bring back to a work session with the council to present to you where we think the direction of possibly putting a climate action plan would be.
Thank you, Ron. And Stephanie?
Sure. I'd like to talk about University Avenue a little bit more. It's been selected as a finalist with the Roads and Highways category of the Bentley Year in Infrastructure 2019 awards. These awards are for the Bentley software users, how they advance infrastructure design, construction, and operations throughout the world. So it is a worldwide competition. There were about 600 overall entries from around the globe, and there were 58 in the Roads and Highways category, and our project made the top 3, and we look forward to hearing about the finalists and whether we might be selected for the top.
Thank you, Director. And finally, Amanda Huesman, our communication specialist, on some updates.
Good evening. I wanted to provide a brief update and recap of National Night Out. We were excited to announce that over 800 people attended our National Night Out event, which took place August 6th at the Cedar Falls Target retail store. The Cedar Falls Department of Public Safety teamed up with Mercy One Hospital, Iowa State Patrol, Blackhawk County Sheriff's Office, the Iowa Army Air National Guard, and the UNI Police Department, along with Target, to put on the event. The Cedar Falls Hy-Vee store also provided a free cookout and assisted. We wanted to thank all of our partners that helped make this possible, as well as everyone that attended. Next year's National Night Out event is scheduled to take place on August 4th, 2020, so mark your calendars. I also had some additional communications updates as well. We want to take this opportunity to invite the community to complete the Cedar Falls Recreation and Fitness Center public survey. This survey is available through August 27th. The purpose of the survey is to give feedback from the community on future developments at the Recreation and Fitness Center. We want to hear from you. The survey takes approximately 5 to 7 minutes to complete. You can access the survey on that link right there on the screen. You can also go to the Cedar Falls Recreation and Fitness Center's Facebook page or the city's Cedar Falls Facebook page. You can also visit cedarfalls.com and click on departments and select recreation and community programs to participate. And we would love to hear about your thoughts on the future. One more thing we wanted to add was the Place to Play Playground will be celebrating its grand opening on Saturday, August 31st at 10 a.m. This event is open to the public. We're very excited about this. This playground is located at the Green Hill Park site at the corner of Algonquin and Ashwood. The Place to Play Playground will be an all-inclusive playground. It goes beyond ADA accessibility compliance. It's designed to provide children and families of all physical, mental, and social abilities and ages an opportunity to play together in a safe environment. We think this is a wonderful addition to our community. You can learn more about the park at yourplacetoplay.org.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Council, now it's your turn. If you have any updates. Appreciate that. Moving on, next is the executive session. Item 39 is to go to executive session to discuss legal matters per Iowa Code Section 2151C, to discuss strategy with counsel and matters that are presently in litigation or litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation following public forum. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion second. This requires a roll call vote, please.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next is public forum. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics germane to city business. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak tonight in the public forum? Rosemary, come. Oh, go ahead, sir. Go, no, you're fine, sir. Yep. Just your name and address, please.
Yeah, this is Jeff Hansen, 806 Bluff Street, and I got a problem with the alley. I used to be a steeple jacket, and it's a good thing too, because the highest thing I've ever climbed has been the Cadetaville Tower by Raleigh. This guy says that this alleyway, although not vacated, has been out of service for more than 30 years. Part of the reason to discourage the use of vehicles is the steep grade and the access points. There's 8 people with access to the alley. They have access to the alley, and there's trash behind 809 Grove Street. He rents it out to a bunch of trash in there, and it's why is there no gravel in the alley? This letter is not satisfactory to me.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Yep. If we can have staff get with Mr. Hanson after, in between the regular meeting and the executive session, please. Anyone further? Come on up. Yes, ma'am.
Ruth Walker, 2208 Coventry Lane. Last winter, news was spread across America about a report of the 10 worst communities for African Americans, with Waterloo Cedar Falls ranked #1. I've read about what Waterloo is trying to do to improve in this regard, and just this evening they had a proclamation acknowledging disparities, at which the speakers all said was a start. If you don't acknowledge a problem, you don't get it fixed. But I've not found anything on the city's website or in the news about what Cedar Falls might be doing. I recently attended a presentation at Waterloo Public Library about the Waterloo and Cedar Falls analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. It was open to the public, and some of us thought it would have been good if representatives from both city councils had attended. From the introduction of the analysis of impediments, it says, housing is considered a fundamental right. Therefore, fair housing choice means equal and free access to residential housing. Different government levels have established protected classes, certain groups that are likely to experience discrimination in housing to be protected from discrimination in housing where they can pursue personal, educational, employment, or other goals. Because housing choice is so critical to personal development, fair housing is a goal that government, public officials, and private citizens must embrace if equality of opportunity is to become a reality. An analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, AI, is a review of the jurisdiction's laws, regulations, and administrative policies, procedures, and practices affecting the location, availability, and accessibility of housing. It is also an assessment of conditions, both public and private, affecting fair housing choice. The cities of Waterloo and Cedar Falls have prepared an analysis of impediments to fair housing choice to satisfy requirements of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. This act requires the cities to affirmatively further fair housing. To comply, the cities must complete an AI, which is done, and work to eliminate identified impediments. Now, it seems to me that Cedar Falls has a bigger problem, or there would be more African Americans living here. I think it needs to be addressed. Does the city of Cedar Falls have a plan to fix it?
Your question will be considered when you're complete. Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Anything, you're up next, Rosemary. Hang on one second. Anything from the previous speaker with council before the next speaker comes up? I know, speaking with many folks of the council, there's been many meetings and invitations towards this study from a year ago. I got together with our staff liaison to the Human Rights Commission along with one of their board members, Andrew Morris, and we were looking at plans to help foster some potential opportunities to see that disenfranchised go down towards the market or the public, to let folks know if they're in business together or in business and they're having a difficult time finding good talent, there's a good pool of talent out there within the Cedar Valley. And working with the Grow Cedar Valley, the old chamber, they are really doing some nice strides, meeting together with inclusion meetings at Community Foundation Northeast Iowa, inclusion and diversity with the Gene Trainer with that, public health from the county. Had a meeting a couple weeks ago that I attended with Mayor Hart at the Hawkeye Adult Learning Center. So it's still early in its infancy. I think there needs to be some direction overall for the Cedar Valley to do that, but I think the next month or two you'll get some updates on what Cedar Falls is doing specifically, just to see if we can help move the needle as it relates to that program. Anything further from council? Rosemary, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Rosemary Beach, 5018 Sage Road. Yeah, last year sometime I came in and asked about that lump that is in Main Street at 18th and Main, just if you're coming north, just before you get to the intersection. There's been a lump in that road for over a year. I think I was told at the time, because it was winter, not to worry about because the frost would go out, but the lump is still there. And I just wonder if we could possibly grade it down. I don't know who to ask that question, but here, it's there. So many of you drive over it and know it's there. The other thing that I was curious about was in Thursday, August 15th, excuse me, newspaper, about the police investigate the brawls on College Hill. And I was a little concerned about that because that night or whenever it happened, the fights were beyond normal activity for College Hill, the chief said. We have skirmishes and fights weekly, but not to that level, Olson said. I guess I didn't know we had skirmishes and things on College Hill weekly or nightly or whatever. I just guessed I'd never been afraid to go to College Hill. And that kind of, I don't know if it's a warning or whether it's what it is, but I thought it was interesting that it was in the paper that maybe we had more than just this one, which evidently was a large one. So just questioning is there more going on than we know? Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Director Olson, I'd answer Rosemary's question. You can answer as far as more now than later or now than previous, but I do know you updated me earlier as far as just working with Waterloo and different communities to make sure this doesn't happen again or be more proactive in the future if this kind of event happens again.
Yeah, so what we, I've been working with the city for over 30 years, and really the activity hasn't changed much in the 30 years. So if your concern about skirmishes, it's been occurring forever. It just does when you have an active nightlife with a lot of alcohol flowing. You just have those skirmishes from time to time. We don't have ones of this magnitude very often. We've got quite a bit of video of this incident. We've made a couple of arrests. We anticipate making more. We've joined forces with Waterloo, as you indicated, to work on this because the individuals involved in this are well known between the two departments. So I don't think there's anything for anyone to fear about. It is safe to go to College Hill. But we just have those incidences where there's a lot of maybe alcohol involved or something occurs where you get the little skirmishes. So, it's nothing to fear, and it's really, other than this incident, nothing out of the ordinary is occurring.
Thank you, Director. Anyone further? Yes, Mr.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to emphasize what Director Olson said, that we made some significant security upgrades to College Hill in the past year. Our public safety department is working pretty diligently up there. It's absolutely a safe and fun place to live and work, so I encourage anyone to stop out and see some of the new development on College Hill. I'll go with you, Rosemary.
There you have it. 6 new. That's a date.
Wow.
Anyone further for public comment this evening? Go ahead.
Well, that's a great segue, because I'm sure you know what I'm going to bring up. Sarah Langle, 1312 Windsor Drive. So this is your organization sheet for your public safety, organization chart for your public safety staff. So the red circles are the public safety supervisor. The blue circles are the public safety supervisor, captains, lieutenants, excuse me. And all the black circles are the public safety officers. What is blatantly missing are all the career firefighters. They're not anywhere on here to be found. So I have a very simple yes or no question. The career firefighters, are they going to be fired or laid off?
Your question will be addressed when you're done speaking. Appreciate it.
It's a yes or no question.
It will be addressed when you're done speaking. Thank you.
All right.
Council have any questions, the staff or themselves?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If you get clarification from the administrator or public safety director on that chart?
Yes. Director Olson?
Yeah, certainly. So that chart is part of a report that we put together, and it really doesn't reflect what we currently are doing or what we're going to do in the future. If you count the number of symbols on that chart, it falls way short of the 70-plus police, fire, public safety officers that we currently have. And you'll note, one thing that was noted was the public safety supervisors are all one color. Well, there are police supervisors, fire supervisors, public safety supervisors, but we just put them all supervisors as one color. There will always be full-time firefighters. There will always be full-time police officers, and we have public safety officers. Many of those individuals are cross-trained. So the simple yes or no answer is yes, there will always be full-time firefighters on the fire shifts.
Thank you, Director. Anything further from council to yourself? Director? Anyone further for public comment? Yes.
Darren Yoder, 3919 Beaver Ridge Trail. To follow up with that, when I hear professional firefighters, I think what you're saying is we will be paying somebody to be fighting fires. What really should be emphasized is that we will be no longer having career union firefighters. We will be having cross-training. By cross-training, that means public safety officers. So we will be going 100% PSO according to that chart. And that's something that, to follow up with what Sarah has to say, there is no intention of hiring another union firefighter. That just isn't in the cards. So I would like to maybe follow up with that and say when you say that we're going to have more professional firefighters, yes, we will have firefighters on staff, but your definition of professional firefighters, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is eventually we will be 100% PSOs. Because in order to hire a firefighter right now, a union firefighter, or what I would call a dedicated firefighter, is someone who, on the pay structure, so let me back up here. The pay structure for a career firefighter is substantially less than the PSO pay structure. So I don't know if the public is aware that a starting salary for a firefighter is $45,000. Starting salary for a public safety officer or a PSO, which you say is cross-trained, PSO starting is $58,500 compared to $45,000 for a firefighter, career firefighter. So a PSO with 2 years experience earns more than a firefighter with 17 years experience. From 2017 to 2020, our police department, from 17 to 20, our police department budget has increased 41% in 3 years. The entire public safety budget is an increase of 25%. No other department is double digit in that time frame, none. But the police department, 41% increase in 3 years. We have lost 12 of our 28 firefighters since January of 2018. That's 43% loss of our firefighters, of our career firefighters, which includes 160 years of experience. And that's in less than 20 months, okay? We have not hired any dedicated professional firefighters since 2015. In order for the city to hire firefighters, we need a certified hire list. We don't have one. This is clear and obvious signal that the city is not and will not hire another dedicated professional firefighter. The conclusion is simple. We will eventually lose all of our remaining 16 firefighters before long through attrition, retirement, and some firefighters are already looking for new jobs in other cities. Firefighters are looking, in our towns, firefighters are looking for jobs in other cities. Some are sticking around for the hopes that citizens of Cedar Falls will remove existing council members who are not supporting the firefighters. I promise you that if the voters do not replace existing council and mayor, that more firefighters will leave. That is a fact. Firefighters will leave if some of you folks are still here. We need to keep our existing firefighters. If not, PSOs will be hired as replacements, not a supplement, not a supplement. Replacement. This sums up my story. PSOs are replacing our firefighters. PSOs cost substantially more than firefighters. The result is a higher cost to the city of Cedar Falls. And more experienced firefighters will be walking out the door. I'm calling for every registered voter in the city of Cedar Falls to vote for council members and mayor who will support our firefighters and help keep the costs from skyrocketing.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll have your time, Mr. Yoder. Mr. Yoder is not an announced candidate, Kevin. Does that still fall under the purview of section part 10 of the part of public comments?
I'm not aware of Mr. Yoder running for office, and so his statement about people getting out to vote, I don't see that as violating the council rules.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's fine. Go ahead and continue, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just to recap, I'm encouraging voters to look at their candidates who are professional or who are supporting the professional firefighters. I'm telling you, firefighters will be leaving, okay? And we are not hiring another professional firefighter in this town.
5 minutes is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Olson, there's a lot of assumptions there. Lots of assumptions there. Would you please just clarify for council and for the public in terms of the previous speaker, please?
Certainly. So, first of all, in my opinion, if someone is working the fire shift, 24-hour schedule, their primary responsibilities is working a fire shift, I'm going to call them a professional, I'm going to call them a career. So as we have firefighters retire, we just announced their retirement tonight, we've actually already moved someone to that fire shift to fill that role. They will be working, they are Firefighter 1 certified, and they will continue to receive other certifications throughout the next few years. They will be working the fire shifts on a full-time status. So that person was or is a public safety officer and they'll be working 24-hour shifts full-time on the fire shift. So I guess I don't see how they're not a career individual. There's a comment about being in a union. They are in a union. It's just not the International Association of Firefighters union, because the job classification is under the Teamsters union. The salaries are negotiated by the unions, so that's something that we just can't arbitrarily pick. We do have an increase in staffing to fire calls. As you recall, we recently had an ISO rating, and they recognized a little over 15 firefighters working 24 hours around the clock on an average through payroll records. In the past years, we would have an average of 7, 8 working and responding to those calls. So we've seen significant improvement. Of those 15, some of them are responding from the 24-hour shift on the fire trucks. Some of them are responding from police cars as a public safety officer. They carry their gear in their car, and they respond to the fire scenes. We've seen significant improvements. Also, what we've noticed as part of this model is an increase in number of police officers on the street, because you have more working the street and more responding to the fires at the same time, so it works well for us. I can't comment on the percentage increases because I don't exactly know what figures he's referring to or where he gets those.
That's fine, Director, unless council has other directives or questions to Director Olson or otherwise.
Mr. Mayor, if I could jump in just a little bit with that. Director Olson and I have on several occasions asked the question, what constitutes a professional firefighter? You know, in other professions, it's your licensure, it's your whatever type of certifications you have, and I can guarantee you everyone that's being put on the fire shift has the minimum qualifications to be a professional firefighter. And in many cases, if not all cases, these folks exceed those minimum qualifications. We have qualifications from Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, EMT. They've went to command schools. So these are folks that are professionally trained, and I will say professionally trained and professionally certified in the fire department. Another thing that we have them working on is command schools, as I had mentioned earlier. So we're training these folks to go on to the next level of that, of not just being a firefighter, but we're also preparing them for supervisory roles into the future. Yeah, I guess.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Green.
Just a question for city staff. It appears there's some confusion or miscommunication based on this org chart. If I saw an org chart from my work and I wasn't on it, I would assume I wasn't wanted. And I just would ask if city staff can publish a new org chart that includes the police officers and firefighters.
So
provide that to the public.
So the interesting thing is, I know there's a lot of times where we're asked, hey, where are we going? What are we doing? And a lot of times we know what you're going to do in an organization in 1 to 3 years, 1 to 5 years, some of those time periods. We know that the public safety program right now is in a transitional period. When this particular org chart was put together, it was just a model of what could be. Now, we can put together an org chart that would signify exactly what today is in those. I think what will happen is it'll be under scrutiny as well. People will look at that org chart and say, well, you should have 4 more of these and 2 less of these. And the same thing, if we put what the goal would be for 5 years, what that org chart may or may not look like. It's going to be, hey, this didn't exactly happen this way. We don't always hit some of those goals in, I can tell you 3 years ago, with regard to how many career firefighters are here, we would not have known how many career firefighters were going to leave. Now, that can happen with other retirements. That can happen with other folks that decide to leave and how we replace them. Again, this program is in a transitional time period. It's working very, very well. And so how many actual dedicated firefighters will be on a shift, and how many dedicated police officers will be on the police, and how many dedicated investigators, all of that's going to change with time. And it's going to be in a transitional time, just because as we keep moving the program forward, there's going to be technologies that help us out. There's going to be all kinds of different equipment, personnel, the way you do business will always change. So yes, we can put that org chart together that'll show exactly what today looks like, but what it looks like in the future may be much different.
Anything further from council? Mr. Cruz?
Thank you. I believe I've asked this before in the past, and I just want to, for the benefit of the public, ask again that the training that a career fireman hired in from scratch, brand new, is exactly the same training that a PSO starting from scratch would be.
That is correct.
That is correct. Then further to another point, we've had people that have had firefighting experience coming to Cedar Falls hired as PSOs or supervisory PSOs. So elsewhere they would have been considered, as the public have said, career firemen, but when they come to Cedar Falls, they're now called a PSO.
That is correct.
Okay. Just wanted to.
Anyone further from council? You had your chance, sir. Anyone further? Hearing and seeing none. Kathleen.
Catherine Sogard, 330 Columbia Circle over in Waterloo. I'm the executive director for the College Hill Partnership, and I wanted to thank city staff and city council and the mayor for moving forward with the College Hill parking study and starting to implement some of the suggestions for that parking study. The College Hill Partnership wants to thank all of you for the time that's been spent on the study and implementing that, or starting to implement that. We're really excited about that, so thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it. Anyone further for public comment? Sorry, come on up. Yep, come on up, then Bob will come. Yes.
Jessica Wittenberg, 4319 Woodwood Drive in Cedar Falls. Here's a little bit of my background. My family and I moved to Cedar Falls December of 2018. We saw in the media what was happening with the Cedar Falls Fire Department, but was shocked at the magnitude of the change soon after we moved here. I am an active EMT with the state of Iowa. Previously, I've been part of 2 different volunteer fire departments. The very first rule as a first responder, EMT, paramedic, and firefighter is the scene safe? As an EMT in a volunteer fire department, we have had the option to self-dispatch. We did not have set hours to be on call, and sometimes more personnel was needed. This meant that I could go on calls if I chose to. At the August 5th City Council meeting, a member of the City Council asked a question about a commercial fire alarm, which ended up being an active fire. Why weren't PSOs dispatched to the alarm? I'm sorry, self-dispatched to the alarm. The answer was the supervisor of 28 years of service did not radio for POSs. Shouldn't the POSs have self-dispatched? When I was on the volunteer fire department, I chose which call to go on because I was a volunteer. The PSOs are being paid to show up at these calls. That's their job as a PSO, and they are choosing not to. Isn't that the same as being on a volunteer fire department? Also, if PSOs are putting out fires, where is the safety to the public, including blocking off vehicles which are not fire, police, or ambulance, keeping the public away from the danger, comforting the family who has been affected by the tragic events. Ambulance and the county sheriff's department don't always arrive when police and fire arrive. So going back to the very first thing, first responders, EMTs, paramedics, and firefighters learn. Is the scene safe? No. These scenes are not deemed safe. We need more firefighters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before the next speaker, open it up for council for questions. Mr. Rowe.
If we can get clarification again on that commercial fire
You bet.
alarm. I believe we clarified this once, but.
Yes, we have. So what happened on that call was they had a fire alarm call. We have several hundred of those a year. What the fire department has done for 10, 20 years is we have a dispatch matrix, and we have told, we being Cedar Falls Public Safety and Fire, has told dispatch one fire truck to a fire alarm because 99.9% of them are false. This is also the same thing that the majority of fire departments do in the state of Iowa. What we do is we send one fire truck, lights and siren. We self-dispatch a second fire truck to drive with traffic. Public safety officers can self-dispatch as well. So what happened on this particular call, this happened to be a gentleman put a cardboard box on a stove. It hit the stove button, started the box on fire. He left the house, the sprinkler system put it out, so the fire was completely out when the fire department arrived. But the public safety officers did not self-dispatch to that call, although there was 8 of them working at the time of that call. Later that day, we had another fire alarm call. 2 public safety officers self-dispatched themselves to the call. The dispatcher called the alarm company who said it was a false alarm, so no fire trucks even went at all to that call, which is perfectly okay. We found out that many cities, including the Las Vegas Police Department or Fire Department, they don't even respond to the calls unless there's a confirmed fire. So when the alarm comes into their dispatch center, they call to the residents, is there a fire? No, they don't even respond, which is perfectly okay. And as I stated earlier, this is because we did a survey, and it's very similar response. Majority of the fire alarm calls, PSOs will self-dispatch. The second fire truck typically will self-dispatch, but we always send one. So this is no different than what we've been doing in the last 20 years or any other city,
Thank you, Director. Anything further from council?
Another question, if I may, Mayor.
Absolutely.
In the past year and a half, or, the program's kind of been accelerated here in the past couple years. Has there been a situation where we had an unsafe, considering the circumstances of a fire, where we had an unsafe situation?
No, we have not. Actually, what we have experienced is more firefighters, which includes firefighters and public safety officers on the scene to assist with the fire. We've had many scenarios, majority actually where the public safety officer arriving first, they carry the gear in the car. There's a lot that they can do initially at the scene. I showed a 2-minute video several months ago at a council meeting that showed a response to a deck fire or a deck fire on the second story of an apartment complex that showed the public safety officer arriving first, deploying a CAF, actually putting the fire out, radio communications with the fire trucks, very, very a great demonstration of how a lot of this is working and how well it's working, compared to what we've done in the past.
Thank you.
Anything further from council? Anyone next speaker? Anyone further for public comment? Bob, you bet. I saw you put your hand up, sir.
Hi, folks. My name is Bob Manning, 2908 West 3rd Street, Cedar Falls. And I come with a totally different topic, and so out of respect for the people that have been talking, I want to change course for a bit, if I may. Respectful of people on both sides of the previous issue. But as executive officer for the Home Builders Association, we wanted to announce that our Parade of Homes is this weekend. This is the 17th year that we've had this, and it's been a very successful and we'd like to think classy event for the people in the Cedar Valley. We're lucky enough to have 11 houses in our parade this year at a variety of locations throughout the Cedar Valley, built by a variety of builders. We're having everything from 250 State Street, just a couple of blocks away, to Friendship Village, the new retirement center that they're opening up. And so we have all gamuts planned. Some of you might be thinking about that retirement center, so let's not discount that. So, but we're excited that we have such a variety of contractors involved, and the construction business in the Cedar Valley is one of a $75 million business, and so some of the best have chosen to show their houses this weekend. The parade opens Thursday night from 6 to 9, Friday the same, Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4 o'clock in the afternoons. Tickets are available online at wcfparade.com, and we'd like to see you all there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone further this evening for public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll now adjourn to executive session. Thank you.